an A, all you need to do is just to get a 70 or a 75, or for simplicity, let's use 70 only. All you have to do is to make a 70 out of, say, maybe 7 courses. I would rather you make 71, 72, 75 across all 7 than for you to say, oh, you want to be an expert in terms of depth. You make, say, a 95 in 1 or 2, and then for 1 or 2 of those courses, you are getting a 69 or a 68. You don't have to be a specialist. You don't have to be a specialist at all. All you just need to know is that it's about the spread. A 70 is an A, a 71 is an an 80 is an A 99 is an A. Before you start digging in terms of depth, you want to dig and dig and dig, and you want to go and make a 95 in a particular course, ensure that you are already making a 70 or a 71 in other courses. Or the next thing is about the next academic session, right? So I will be talking about this mainly with respect to strategies, but it actually straddles. So when I say, it is between the system and strategies. If you have read Animal Farm, George Orwell, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others, right? When it comes to units, some animals are more equal than others. So if you're already in the university, you will understand the power of course units. Some courses are such that they will have 2 units, some will have 3 units, some will have 4 units. Some they will say to you, oh, they are even 0 units, they don't count. For 0 units, all you need to do is to pass them. Meaning, if the pass mark is, say, 40, or in some schools a 50, all you have to do in terms of strategy. So the reason I have left this whole triangle here is I will be straddling, I'll be moving across all 3 without any sort of, demarcation or any kind of boundary. If a particular course is a non-gradable course, meaning it will not count for you in terms of units, you don't need to get a 70 in that course. All you just need to do is to pass it. So give yourself a very good margin. Personally, I say give yourself a margin of 5 to 10. So if the pass mark is 50, ensure you have a margin of like 5, 10, get a 55 or a 60. Do not prioritize the same course with one that has 4 units. If a course has 4 units, others have 3, others have 2, please note one thing. That course is the most important. That is the course you cannot get a D in if you want to make a first class. Because for you to make a first class, if all courses were the same, all courses are not the same. But imagine a world where all courses were the same. Ensure you have the same amounts of A's and B's, and you should be fine. So if a course is a 4-unit course, ensure you prioritize it over every other course. When I was in the university, I had classmates and people elsewhere who would say, oh, this particular course was my favorite course. I like to be the best in it. I like to be, awarded the best overall in that course. They would spend countless time, countless hours trying to be the masters in those courses. They would get 99. Some would get 95. And then there were courses elsewhere where you see the same people getting 60 in, 55 in, 40. The funny part is, as long as a course has a unit, right? It doesn't matter whether you're getting a 99 or a 98 or a 70. As long as you're able to meet the minimum threshold in terms of what you need to be at a particular grade. A good example is if an A is a 70, everybody that must have had 70 and above will get an A. Everything else you must have made, it does not matter, it's A. And for a 5-point grade school, A is a 5, and that's what you need to know, right? The last thing I would like to just talk about here with respect to the system in terms of the school is know the lecturers. And a very good way for you to understand the lecturers is for you to have mentors who are in a set ahead of you. So I give you a good example, right? If you are in your first year or you're about to get into your first year, ensure you have mentors in 200 level. The reason is very simple. You pound the yam when it is hot. If you are having mentors in your first year who are already in 400 level, a lot of things may have changed between when those folks were in their first year and when they got to their fourth year. Say 3 years gap. Lecturers might have moved, new ones might have come, and all of those things. So you need to pound the yam. If you like pounded yam very well, you don't let the yam get cold before you pound it. You pound it when it is still very hot. So have mentors in 200 level. Don't just have mentors who are doing well. Have mentors who are on maybe a tutu. A tutu, for those of you who are yet to get into school, a tutu is a second class lower, right? If you don't mind as well, also have mentors who are not doing well, who have carryovers. Now, this is what it does. Those who have carryovers, they will always find ways to give you excuses in terms of why they have failed. Oh, it's the system. Oh, the lecturers are hard. Oh, this particular course is hard. They help you understand the blind spots in terms of the areas, the things you need to watch out for. The people that are on the average level, say a tutu, average level is a tutu. They help you understand what an average student sees in terms of a semester, right? If you are only talking to the fourth class folks, the first class folks can be, they can be very arrogant. One, two, potentially they may have blind spots because they are so solid, they are so good that everything to them is very easy. It may not come very easy to you. So a very good way to balance it is to have mentors all through. The first class folks will tell you it's very easy, you can do it. From them, you have the confidence to say, hey, this is not rocket science. You know, if this person is making this happen, I will also make it happen. So they demystify a lot of things to you, but there is a problem. A first class person who has been blasting and like shattering records all through, and you're not in that category, you may think you want to fly like them. They may be a mutant, you are not a mutant. Chances are that you may crash and burn, because to them, whether it is a mathematical course, it's a theoretical course, it doesn't matter. They have very good strategies and methodologies. They get those things right. But when you speak to those on 2-1 or 2-2, they help you see the reality of things, because chances are that you may be at the same level as the 2-2 or the 2-1 people. So they help you know the areas where you need to work very, very hard for you to make an A. Because like I have said, to make a first class, you need to have more or less equal numbers of A's and B's. Yes, you could have C's, it is fine, but to be safe, always ensure that in terms of the lowest grades you have, they are not lower than a B. And then for the guys who are not doing very well, they will put the fear factor in you. The fear factor is very, very good, because you will not rest on your oars. From day one, you will know the areas you need to take care of. And like I have said, when you have mentors in a set ahead of you, they will not only help you see the things you need to know, they will also help you with respect to very difficult lecturers. And like you will see when we get to strategies, you will do photocopies of their notes and all of those things. When, say, during a semester break or a session break, when others are sleeping and Netflixing and doing other things, you have covered half of the next semester and half of the next session ahead of you. I will pause here. Let me go to nice. So maybe this will be a very good time for you to bring up the competition bit. So what I will say to you is, let us spice it all through. So if we're going to have, like, say, n number of winners. Let us do n divided by maybe 3, right? So we can have 3 different breaks where we are going to have fun in terms of the winners, and then I will circle back all through. I don't want to talk and talk and talk and talk and make this boring. Let us make it fun as well. So if we're going to have like 5 or 10 winners, let us give out, prizes to like say 2, 3 winners, and then I'll come back and then we'll continue all through. So nice, over to you. Thank you.
I don't know if you guys are having fun, but I'm enjoying myself. Like, I'm hearing things that I've never heard before, and it's just exciting because God knows I'm definitely going to put all these things to practice. Anyways, let's go straight to the winners. We have a good number of awards we are giving tonight, but I'm just going to give 2 awards for now. So, to the early bird, I'm giving the award to Angel UGG because it's not easy to be disciplined enough to come before the time. So I'm giving that award to Angel UGG. That's for our early bird. So if you know your Angel UGG, just wave or comment on the comment box. Congratulations, you just won a sum of 10,000 naira for being an early bird. So next time, if you're set to, attend something, it pays to be early. It pays to be early. So our second award will go to mm, the best comment so far. The best comment so far. This one is a bit tricky because I've been seeing some really great comments. I've been seeing some beautiful comments, and I'll give that award to Samuel Oludimu. Samuel Oludimu, he's very, very clear that he's really, really paying attention. And as much as he's listening, he's also taking good note of things. Like, it's not just, he's filtering the information. When someone is listening and is also taking note of the points he can utilize immediately. So it's very, very clear that Samuel Oludimu is paying attention. So congratulations to Angel and Samuel. As the event is going on, you don't know, you might be lucky enough to get an award. So for now, let's keep it coming. Keep your questions coming. Keep the comments coming. Open your ears and be attentive because we've only just started. It's going to get better. All right. I'll leave this for now. Let's give the room to Mr. Isaac once again.
All right, nice. Thank you very much. I saw a comment where someone was saying you should be nice to them. I mean, nice, being nice. Yeah. I- In English, we say it is tautological, but yeah, we actually got that. So nice. I hope you've been nice to the folks so far. So again, thank you. Thank you very much. And congratulations to all of the winners. Yeah, there will still be more and more winners all through as this session continues. Okay, all right, so thank you very much. um Without further ado, I like to go to strategies. So like I have said, trust me, if you leave me 24 hours, I don't need the notes. I'll just continue talking. So in terms of strategies, so let me just say the very first one I'd like to share with you is what I call the common denominator strategy. Common denominator strategy. What does that mean? Common denominator is something that is actually common to everybody, right? So just imagine you are in the university or a polytechnic, right? The common denominator strategy says whatever everybody else has done, you must do. Because for you to make a first class, right, you must not only do what others have been doing or have done, you must do extra. There must be that extra factor. If everybody else is doing, say, 50 kilometers per hour, you must do 50 kilometers per hour first of all, and then you will say, okay, what are they not doing? an extra 20 kilometers. Okay, that's what I would do. The very first one is attend all classes. I cannot overemphasize this enough. So there are some schools where you have some very interesting lecturers. So let me use very, very positive words. You have interesting lecturers that will do what we call impromptu tests, right? They come in and then without any prior announcement, a test is conducted, and then they will say to you, oh, that test is for 10 marks. That test is for 15 marks. If you are the kind of person who does not like classes, like you actually hate classes, you have lost 10 or 15 marks from what is called your CA, your continuous assessment. You must attend all classes. One. Number two, do all assignments. Do all assignments, everything with respect to CA, your continuous assessment. In most schools, the split is 60-40 or 70-30. 60 being your exams and then 40 being your continuous assessment, or it could be 70-30, 70 being your exams and then your CA, continuous assessment, being 30. See, those ones are what I call easy pickings. Pick them, attend classes, mark attendance. There are schools where they will say to you, oh, if you don't make 70% attendance, you can't write exams. You don't want to be that person who has been studying very, very hard. You are top notch, you are world class, you are everything else, but because you've been attending, sorry, because you've not been attending classes, you don't meet the minimum threshold to write exams, and then you have automatic carryover. When if you want to make a first class, you need to be humble to say to yourself, yes, I might know this stuff, this lecturer is boring and all of those things, but please don't just attend those classes. Attend those classes very early and do every assignment. The third one I like to share with you is take notes. See, I had a very terrible experience when I got into Yabatech. So I finished high school in the year 2000. My set was the very first set that wrote NECO. So NECO exam started in 2000. My set was the very first set that actually wrote NECO. So I went into Yabatech with this mindset of, oh, I was too much. So when I was in high school, I used to take a lot of pride in reading big textbooks. Oh, modern biology, all those big books. So I used to carry them all over. I used to say to myself, forget notes. When I got into Yabatech, I learned something very pivotal, something very key, something very fundamental that helped me when I eventually switched over to the University of Lagos in the year 2002. I was very good when it came to foreign textbooks. I was very good in reading wide, very, very wide, but I was arrogant in taking notes. Think about it. Your lecturers are human beings. Your lecturers are human beings. Your lecturers are not chat GPT. They don't know it all. So the so-called foreign textbooks you are reading, your lecturers, chances are that they've not read those books. Chances are that you would have lecturers who are recycling their notes for a decade. So the thing is, you want to make a first class. It is your lecturers who decide whether or not you are worthy to make a first class. So when I was in Yabatech, I was reading very, very big textbooks, whereas I had classmates who were cramming. They were cramming notes. Specifically, I had this lecturer called Abbas Shiro. He took a course. I think it was banking. It was banking something then, right? The guy would say to you very confidently in the classroom, "Give me back my notebook, and I'll give you full marks." In my first semester, ND1, I thought it was a joke. I wanted to impress him. I was busy reading foreign textbooks and all of those things. I knew the subject in and out, in and out. But guess what? During tests, during exams, I was scoring very low because the lecturer could not relate with the things I was writing because, as far as he was actually concerned, the beginning and the end of that particular course was his notes. In fact, where the beginning and the end were his notes. The guys who didn't have a very broad view of the subject, like if you took them away from the notes, they actually didn't have things to say. They were the ones getting, say, 60 something over 70 in the exams. They were the ones getting 30 over 30 in the test because the lecturer wanted you to give him his notes. So when you get into the university, or if you're in the university already, do not be arrogant. Follow the lecturer. If the lecturer says, buy my handouts, if others are buying their handouts, please, I beg you, buy the handouts. If lecturers are saying, if lecturer is saying, my notes and my alpha and omega, the Bible, by all means, copy the notes. Don't just copy the notes. Have friends who are very good note takers, photocopy their notes as well. Before you go read foreign textbooks and you want to be Professor Wole Soyinka, ensure you know the notes from the lecturers inside out. The next tip I want to give you with respect to strategy is be very close to your class rep. Your class rep, your class rep, after lecturers, after your course advisor, your class rep is the most important thing, the most important person. They have the information. They're very close to the lecturers. They know when a test may pop up. They know when an impromptu test may pop up. They know when a particular assignment may be very important with respect to grading. Ensure you weaponize your relationship with your class rep. Be very, very close to your class rep. You don't have to be the class rep, but be very, very close to the class rep. In actual fact, make the class rep your bestie so that whatever information that the lecturers are passing, you will be among the first people to get that information. The next strategy I want to share with you is when it comes to classrooms, when it comes to lectures, right? Try to sit at the middle. Try to sit at the middle. So when I was in the university, I was a backbencher. Don't be like me because I was not a normal student. I was not a normal student at all. So I give you a good example. I was a very crazy student that when, say, we were resuming for for first semester 200 level, I had read everything in 200 level from first semester to second semester. So when lecturers would come and be talking, I'll just be smiling like I was already doing revision from week one. I was that crazy. I was that crazy. Like so during my own time, there was no Netflix. Social media was not a thing then, right? We're using this, all these touchlight phones. So I didn't have the distractions many of you have today. Trust me, I don't envy many of you. We are in a world where people are throwing all sorts of things to you at the same time. But I beg you, I plead with you. Like I often say, if your primary goal is to be a first-class student or to graduate with one, always remember one thing always. Many things can wait. Clubbing can wait. Clubbing can wait. A lot of things you want to do, acquiring this one, acquiring this skill, being this one, traveling here, those things can wait, but you can't go back to doing a 4 or 5 year degree program. A lot of things can wait. See, when you are out of school, when you're out of school after your final year, while waiting for service, during my own time, I was practically useless. I was so used to studying for 15, 16 hours every day that I kept saying to myself, what would I be doing with all this time? So, like between finishing school, my last exams, and when I was called to serve NYC, I was useless. So trust me, a lot of things. Mary, if you don't mind, could you mute yourself? Godwin, yes, thank you. A lot of things you are using right now to compete with your academic, journey can wait. You can push them. You have a lot of time. NYC, you have a lot of time. During my time when I was serving in Abakaliki in 2007, more than half of the coppers I knew, they were practically useless. Not knowing what to do with their time, they would just gather. You go to, a friend's place, you see like 20 coppers gossiping from morning till night and everything. My point to you is, do not let anything compete with your primary goal to making a first class or a 2-1 or a distinction. You will have a lot of time for a lot of things. In my first year, I was in an 8-man room in the University of Lagos. During my own time, I could not afford to stay off campus. I had a friend. I don't want to mention his name because this particular call is being recorded. So I am being careful as well. So that, yeah, this guy, unfortunately, he was sharing a best space with someone else who was a party kind of person from a very rich home. This guy was like me. He was like me. He came from Edo State to the University of Lagos. He was like me with respect to coming from a very humble background, right? They managed to pay his school fees. But this guy, the guy that he was sharing the bunk with in the same room, was a party kind of person. Every night going out, ladies were always coming to the room. In fact, I was very microscopic. Nobody was even saying hi to me then, because I was useless. I couldn't even afford to actually get Gary to drink, let alone to be driving a car, let alone to be buying expensive drinks in a club. So this guy was always following them. He was following them. He was like a sort of handbag all through. I kept calling him. I said, my guy, see, you don't follow this, like, they're for the same group with these people. Know your story, maintain your lane. This university life, it is bobo. To cut a very long story short, my guy graduated with a top class. The last time he and I spoke, he was still jobless. Last time he and I spoke, it was one where he was still asking me for 50K, 100K, and all of those things. The point is, I tell people, I say, see, even if you're from a very rich home, and you don't have a motivation to wanting to do well academically, always remember one thing. If everything else doesn't matter to you, think about when you get older, you start having children, you have a spouse, you have kids, and you start telling them, oh, study hard, oh, make good grades, be first, make a first class. A day will come in the entire family gathering, one of your kids or one of the younger ones, they will ask you to say, daddy, mommy, sorry, when you were in school, what did you make? At that point, you will blush. You will turn from your normal skin color to green or to purple or to something else. So I say to folks, it doesn't matter. Even if you want to pursue creative stuff, it's fine. You want to pursue entrepreneurship, it's fine. You don't want to use this degree, it's fine. I am in the tech space. I talk to very very young, folks, geniuses. They will say, oh, we don't need a degree to be anything. I say to you, yes, you're absolutely right. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg didn't go to school, he didn't finish. You are right. This person was a dropout. You are right. But the thing you don't remember is they did not grow up in Africa. Most of these guys had rich parents. They had connections. They still have, till this day, proper systems in the US, elsewhere, where you have an idea. You can incubate it all through without you having a degree. But I am sorry, if you are in Africa, you don't fall in that group. You are in the normal distribution curve, where for the majority of us, we still have to go look for jobs. And one very good way for you to distinguish yourself, for you to separate yourself from the pack, because every single time, employers, recruiters will have like 1,000 CVs they have to go through. One very easy way for them to separate you from the rest is when you make a very good grade, they can take you out, and then it gives you a foot in the door for you to prove your mettle, and then it becomes very easy. You don't have to carry envelopes all through. The next strategy I want to share with you is when it comes to reading. If everybody is going to the library, if you know that you are the kind of person who is easily distracted, I beg you, my friends, don't follow them to the library. I was never a library kind of person. I was that guy. I was used to reading in my bed till this day. Till this day, aside from normal work where I have to sit down, everything else I do lying down. I eat lying down. If I want to do marathon work, I do lying. So that way I can go for a very long time. Some of you must have heard me say, oh, I was reading for 16 hours, for 17 hours. I was always doing reading room for a few hours. I would come to my bunk and then be flipping. That way I never got tired. People will go to the library. In fact, the one that is always amusing, people will say they then when I was in school, they were doing reading rooms at night. A guy and a girl would go and read. They would spend the whole day doing the whole night doing I love you, I love you. They were not reading, spending time pressing phones and all of those things. All said and done, you can deceive others, you can't deceive yourself. This is what you want to achieve, be real with yourself. Others don't have to see you reading. In fact, if you want to make a first class, the easiest way is don't even let people see you when you are doing your studying. I give you a good example. All these artists you watch, right, from the Davidos of this world to Michael Jackson when he was still here and all of those things, the rehearsals they were doing those rehearsals closed doors. They would make the mistakes, they would do it 1,000 times. They weren't doing it in front of fans. But when the show starts, for you the show is CA, for you the show is exam. You will get perfection. People don't have to see you studying. You don't need external validation. They don't have to see you. Oh, I'm going to the reading room. Let me use vernacular. Who help? He not help you. If going to the reading room does not put you in a position where you can tackle exams confidently and make, say, a 60 something over 70, he not help you. Stay in your reading room. If you're the kind of person who is not very good when it comes to night reading, don't do night reading. Do your reading during the day. The next tip I want to share with you is, I said earlier on, during lectures, stay in the middle. And it is very simple. If you stay in the front, it's too much pressure on you with respect to people thinking you are too serious, or even lecturers noticing you. It's okay for lecturers to notice you. It's okay for you to be close to lecturers, but don't be too close to lecturers, because there are downsides. There are lecturers who will have that whole thing, that uncomfortable feeling that if they give you an A, people will think it is because you are close to them. To let lecturers know you that you are very good. If you are a lady, and you want to avoid lecturers, male ones, being predatory to you, a very good way to make them respect you is when you are in a classroom, ask intelligent questions. Let the lecturers know that you not only understand what they have just talked about, but that you are curious about even some of the areas they've not touched on, because you've done research in this area. You could even go to them and say, oh, I'm writing an article in this space. Could you be my mentor? Could you be my coach? Get clarifications for assignments, all of those things, but don't be too close to lecturers, because it has its downsides. Now, when it comes to examinations, exams on exam day, I beg you, don't sit at the back. Don't sit at the front. Sorry, don't sit at the middle. Always sit at the front. People want to cheat. People want to copy. People want to do all of those things. You see them, they will gravitate towards the back. If you've done your work properly, I beg you, stay at the front. Always It saves you from a lot of stress, saves you from a lot of things. Number two, when you are answering exam questions, always start with the easiest questions. Start with the low-hanging fruits. No matter how difficult an exam is, if you've done your work, always go with the confidence, with the mindset of, I will find the easy pickings. So when you see those very easy ones, kill them first of all. One, they give you very easy marks. Two, they give you confidence to approach the next one. You go from the easiest one to the next easiest one, like that all through, and then you can stop. You can continue writing, trying to tackle the very difficult one until they say pens up, and then you have to submit. Exam strategy again, do not submit early. There is no upside in submitting early. I beg you, don't show off. Similar to, you want to go to the library or exam, to the classroom, for everybody to see that you're actually reading. No benefit. If you have finished your exams, your paper, please spend time to read, to go through, correct grammatical errors. Lecturers are very impatient people. If in some schools they have 200 scripts, 300 scripts, 500 scripts to actually mark. In most cases, or in some cases, they will even have assistants. If they cannot read what you have written, there are grammatical errors. Trust me, you will give them headache. They will make a judgment call, grade you, and they have to move. So please, I beg you, go through your work before you submit. There is no trophy to be given to the first set of people who must have submitted, because in the end is the grade you make. Nobody remembers who must have dropped their answer scripts earlier. Next one is waste exam scripts. I tell people, so when I was in university, I used to be the guy that would raise my hand up, extra sheets. People would think I was writing. Yes, I was writing, but I was always spacing my work, making it very easy for the examiners to be able to see the work. I would not squeeze stuff. No, I would space. Give spacing. Space your work properly. Collect as many extra sheets as possible. Ensure you make the stuff you have written very easy for the lecturer or for the examiner to mark. The next bit I'd like to touch on is, see, as much as practicable, when you are writing, ensure you put your most important points first. Some lecturers don't read all through. They only read the first 2-3 sentences, and based on those, they will make a judgment call and give you a mark. Don't go and hide your most important points down. If the question says, give me 5 points, don't give 6 points, give 5 points only. Ensure your first few sentences are the most powerful, and then everything else can come afterwards. Don't go and write verbosity, nonsense stuff, and then you're now hiding the most important ones down there. They don't have the patience for all of those. For this particular one, the last point I'd like to make, for the sake of time, is when it comes to exams, there's one thing you should always remember, and it is very simple. It is very easy. You cannot get all the full marks. You can't get all the full marks. You should always go with the mindset, with the strategy of getting the maximum points, the maximum marks as possible. You should first of all read the question, understand the question, only answer the question asked. Even if you don't know it, write as much as you possibly can based on what has been asked, not on the one that you have in your head, because you could write 2-3 things, 4-5 pages. If you are not answering based on what has been asked, you're not going to get a mark, right? So let me just stop here. I will go back to nice, and then if you still have the appetite, we will continue, because like I've said, I have thought about this stuff 1,000 times. Trust me, if you give me 24 hours, I'll continue to talk. So nice, over to you.
So it feels so good to be back. I feel like I have a lot already on like in my head, and when you've been able to gather so many tips that it feels like your head is just going to blow up. Anyways, let's just go straight. I think we're running low on time, but let's go straight to another award. Please don't get so distracted with the comment box that you miss what is going on here, because I can see, I think an argument is already starting there. So please so don't get so invested in it that you miss what is actually happening right here. I'm going to give um I'm going to give out another award, simply because while we're all listening, I'm also doing some observation. I'm watching people, looking at your comments, I'm looking at your questions, and I'm thinking to myself, who is actually following what is going on here? Who actually knows what we are doing here? So I'm going to give an award for the best behaved. Because, like I said, some persons have gotten so invested with the comment box, chatting with other fellows, and you know, expressing themselves, that they've forgotten that they actually need to listen and listen attentively. So far, I'm not saying you should not drop your comments, but do not lose sight of, the main events. Because while you're dropping comments, before you know, you forget what's actually going on. You lose track of what Mr. Isaac is saying, and when you come back, he might have said something very, very, very important for you. So we have a we have a couple of we have like how many people that actually, they found a balance between listening and dropping comment, asking questions. So I'm going to give the award. Okay, before I do this, the first award I gave to the early bird, some persons are disputing that they came before her. So if you know that you were here before Angel, UGG, you can drop your proof, drop your evidence that yes, I was here before her and I was here very early. And then we'll see what we can do about that. Okay, moving on. Our best behaved, our most behaved candidate in today's event, someone that has been listening and at the same time dropping a comment, dropping a question, dropping her, her own insights. Is Sorry, I don't know if I don't know. Forgive me if I pronounce your name wrongly, but Ugwakazi, good luck. That is our best. That is our best behaved student. If you go through the comment section, you see that she has actually been following, dropping her comments, and listening to what Mr. Isaac has been saying. So yes, that's the only award I'll give for now. The next award will be on our best engaged, like who has been engaging best, who has been dropping, who has been carrying this event with himself or herself. So that will be the next award, and I'll leave the floor to Mr. Isaac once again. See you guys next time.
Okay. Nice. Thank you very much, and congratulations to. Good luck. Congrats to you. So, nice. I was just thinking maybe this might just be a good time for us to take a bit of questions and answers. Yeah, because if you actually leave me, I will go on and on and on and on. So maybe in terms of specificity, let me address specific questions people have. I've actually been reading through the chats. I've seen some very fantastic questions I like to handle, but you are the pilot, so wherever you want me to go, I'll go. So again, over to you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Isaac. I've also been seeing like really good questions. Okay, let's just start with the first one. Let's start with this first question. Um, if Naya Chuku Jennifer and Annabelle Bernards asked, how can I improve the way I study?
Awesome, awesome, fantastic stuff. So there are a couple of things you just need to understand very well. So if I take you back to some of the things I already shared with you, the very first one is you must have a very strong motivation, right? A strong motivation that keeps you consistent, that keeps you disciplined. So at times motivation may fail you. At times motivation will may fail you, but if you have that end game in mind, don't forget, like I actually said, Steve Covey would always say, start with the end in mind. He would say stuff like, for everything, there are two creations. The first creation is in the mind, you just imagining it, believing in it, and then the second bit is making it happen. So if I take you back to the Bible, for many of you who are like Christians, before God created the heaven and the earth, right? He had already seen it in his mind in terms of the goodness, the waters, the land, humans, the animals, and all of those things. So when he said, "Let there be lights," he already imagined what light would be, right? So think about some of the superstars, some of the biggest superstars in the world. Before they go for a competition, before they go for a particular game, they already imagine the game. They already see how the game will be in terms of the future state of things. They already imagine their role in the grand scheme of things. And then they will come back and say, what role do I want to play? And how do I prepare myself in terms of my work ethic, in terms of my preparation, in terms of my strategies, everything I have to do so I can be the best when it happens. It's not a game of draft, it's a game of chess. So you first of all need to see the end, the exact thing you want to pursue. You will now come back and say, given where I am right now, what do I do? What do I have to do to be the best, in terms of where I need to be? So the motivation bit is very key. The second one is you must love what you are studying. You must be passionate about it. See, I know cases where people are, taking courses or taking, stuff that they are not really interested in. They are doing law, they are doing medicine, not because they really want those, but their parents and guide their folks have told them this is what you need to do for you to be able to belong, for you to be able to, dot all of the I's and like slash across all of the full T's. The point is, if you find yourself in a particular space, let's say you are studying medicine and you have decided to finish it, you must find a way to loving it, because if you don't love it, it becomes a drag. If you don't love it, it becomes boring. And the things you whisper, the things you say to yourself, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. You say to yourself, this thing is hard. Because you have been saying to yourself that it is hard, over time, you don't make the requisite necessary efforts. Over time, you don't practice it. Over time, you don't study it. Over time, you don't do, say, practice questions. You don't go through past questions, all of those things. It will become very hard for you. Eventually, when you fail it or you don't do well, you say to yourself, oh, I said it, that it was going to be hard. Maxwell, if you don't mind, could you mute yourself? Or Godwin, just now, please, could you mute Maxwell, please? Thank you. So when you say to yourself, something is very easy, and that is the first class mindset. The first class mindset is nothing is insurmountable, nothing is rocket science, nothing is beyond me, nothing is going to prove to be very difficult. Even when I find it hard, it will be a bump in the road. Think about it. When you are watching series, for people like me, I I love series like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragons. You will see that for a very sophisticated, complex series like Game of Thrones, with a lot of moving parts, sub arcs, different characters, and all of those things, when you see it the very first time, you realize you don't remember a lot of things. The foreshadowing in season one or season two, when you get to season four, you don't remember all of the sub acts and all of those things. But as you see it for the second time, for the very third time, you say to yourself, aha, now I understand that thing that this person prophesied in season one, it happened in season six. Over time, familiarity makes things very easy. Similar to when people say, oh, familiarity breeds contempt. If you have a sort of authority figure that normally you fear, you respect, all of those things, when that person becomes very familiar to you over time, a lot of things are demystified. You just like, oh, this person is just a normal like human being, like nothing really special, nothing really big. That's how a course is. That's how your notes are. That's how a subject is. That's how any field of endeavor is. And that was why I was saying stuff like take notes. Take notes. No matter how difficult a particular course is, if you've taken notes, you're studying, the first time you go through the entire note, it may be like Greek to you, like Spanish. It's not making sense. By the time you do it over and over and over again, over time you just realize that it is easy peasy. On the eve of your exam, you just realize that you know every single line, you know the next thing coming, because the brain is a very powerful machine. You will think it's not there, but it is there. As you go through it over and over again, it becomes very easy. So, with respect to the question that you have asked, I will say to you, doing it over and over and over again, flexing those muscles, the muscles you actually don't develop over time, they don't become firm. So, if a particular course is difficult, just get familiar with it over time, and as time goes by, you see that it's not a big deal. That, my friend, is the easiest way to conquer any course. One, ensure you have self-belief that it's not very difficult. You say to yourself, nah, no matter what, it's not rocket science. I mean, if Elon Musk is already doing rocket science, there's nothing below rocket science. Even rocket science itself, you can do. The second thing is just be very passionate and do the necessary work. Get familiar with it. Over time, it becomes easy. But like I've said, the motivation has to be there. The motivation is what drives it all, is what keeps you consistent all through. Even when you don't have the energy to wanting to do it, you have to know that it is a marathon race. You must have a reason for doing it. Yeah. Nice. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Since we've taken one question from the comment box, why don't we give someone a chance to ask by themselves? I see so many hands raised, and some have been there since we started this event. So let me give one person a chance to ask. Difference Omenihu. Difference Omenihu. If you're still there, you can ask whatever question you have in mind. So just unmute your mic and ask directly. Difference Omenihu, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go on.
Okay. Good evening. So I've been sincerely asking about the time management since, and I've not gotten a reply. So how can we manage the time effectively? Because most times there are distractions.
Okay. So it's time management with respect to studying and getting ready and all of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So again, if something is very important to you, trust me, you will find time to do it. It's as simple as that, right? If
All
somebody
right.
tells you they don't have time for you, know that they are saying to you indirectly that you are not important to them. If you don't mind, could you mute yourself so that, yeah, I mean, we can manage the whole noise coming through?
All right.
Difference. Okay, thank you. If someone says to you they're very busy elsewhere, they don't have time, know one thing: there are people elsewhere that are more important to them than you are. If you say to yourself you don't have time for a particular thing, you're saying invariably, essentially, that you have more important things to do with your time. When something is very important to you, you will find time. And that was why I said very clearly that you must have a driver, something driving you. In my own case, I wanted to come out of like poverty. I wanted to prove my mother right for keeping me in a womb. Even when my dad said, "Oh, I didn't want this baby. Take this baby out." Yeah. So I had something driving me all through. And because I had that, and I understood some of the fundamental principles of life with respect to time and season, like the Bible would always say, time and season. I knew there were things I could push forward, things that could wait. A lot of things could wait. So I give you a good example. So if you are one of those studying accounting right now, let me say one thing to you. Let me say one thing to you. If you're doing accounting or banking and finance or finance and all of those things, and you are still in the university or in the polytechnic, and people are telling you, oh, you should try and be chartered while you're still in the university. Try and have certifications while you are still in the polytechnic or the university. I'll say to you, do not do it. And the reason is very simple. When you're out of the university, when you're out of the polytechnic, you can become chartered at your time, at your own convenience, at your own pace, whether it is ICANN or ACCA or CIBN or CFA or what have you. I had a lot of classmates who were combining things. They were combining things. Oh, they wanted to be chartered in 300 level. They wanted to be chartered in 400 level. While they were doing that, they missed opportunities to leave the university with a very good grade because they were spreading themselves thinly with respect to time. I had classmates who got chartered while we're in 200 level. I had some who actually got chartered while they were in 300 level, 400 level, and all of those things. But these guys did not leave school with a first class because they were sharing their time. See, there's something about nature you need to understand. Nature is very jealous. Nature will not give you something you've not asked for persistently over time. You spread your time, nature will spread its rewards to you. Like they say, a rolling stone does not gather moss. What it means is if you divide your time and attention, your results will be divided as well. If you want something like getting to break a rock, it's gradual. You like a laser focused, effort. You do that all through. Before you know it, over time, you are going to find a way through the rock. My point is, if something is very important to you, you have a strong motivation to wanting to do it. Everything else is noise. You will make out time to getting it done because, like my classmates who were doing normal school work and say, I can. While they got chartered, when I got out of the university, within a year or two, I got chartered. I didn't just get chartered afterwards. I got chartered being second best overall in Nigeria. ICANN could have waited. The external certifications could have waited, but my fourth degree program could not wait. I have gone ahead to gather all sorts of certifications. I have read all sorts of books. I've traveled the the globe. I've clubbed, gone to some of the best places from Pattaya to name it. Even places I can't even mention right now. But when I was in school, there were some very local clubs that people would waste their time to go to because they wanted to belong. Over time, it didn't matter. When I left the university, I had money to travel the world, to go to Atlantic City, to go to Vegas, to go to all sorts of places. My point to you is some things can wait. When you prioritize, when something is important to you, you will always find time. When you wake up every morning to be the first thing you want to do. So difference, if it is important to you, make it important to you. Once you make it important to you, you will find time. Yeah. Thank you. Nice. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Isaac. You spread your time, nature will spread its resources for you. I've taken note of that one. Okay, since we're backwards on time, let me take another question on from the comment box. So someone is asking, sorry. Someone is asking, can you address how I can sustain my intrinsic motivation when my efforts aren't visible and my department dynamic seems to hinder my progress?
Okay. It is a bit generic, but I'll say two or three things to you. Grit, Grit, grit wins at the end. Grit wins at the end. So you might be in a department where, yeah, you have lecturers that are frustrating. You have, places where people are doing what you folks call sorting, paying for grades and all of those things, right? But the thing is, if you know your stuff, if you believe in yourself, and you're doing all of the right things, right? You are on the right track with respect to the things that you have to do. Even if you don't make a first class, even if you don't make a first class, trust me, you will end up with a 2-1. And if you end up with a 2-1, you're very good. And like so when I was coming into this session, there was something I said to myself. This particular event we are having is not strictly about making a first class or a distinction per se. If you end up in a university, you make a 2-1, a second class upper, or you're in a polytechnic, you make um the grade just below a distinction. I think it is also, if I think about it, if I remember very well, it is very close to something upper as well. It's been long. You will realize that you are still part of what I what I would call the 80th to 90th percentile, meaning you are still part of the top 20%, the top 30%. If you go out there to do your masters with that sort of mindset, you will make a distinction. And if you make a distinction, you've more than made up for it, as long as it is a 2-1, right? And beyond that, the stuff you know is for you. Remember what I said about notes and reading wide. Notes and reading wide, right? Because I didn't have time, I had to summarize, right? Reading notes is for the school. Reading notes is for the university, for you to be able to get through that bump, that hurdle, for them to grade you properly. But when you read wide, beyond the notes, when you read those big textbooks, you're saying to yourself, beyond making a 2-1, beyond making a first class, I want to be a first class person. There are two different things. I know a couple of folks who left school with a first class. When you speak with them, and then the work that they are doing, they don't give you that first class signature. They are two different things. So Reading notes and having strategies to passing exams is one thing. I say, hey, don't just be the guy or the lady who knows stuff but cannot articulate stuff to doing very well. Do very well first of all, but for me, it's not sufficient. The next level is be the first class person. When you talk, when you walk, when you are with people, you are doing stuff synergistically, you're doing stuff collaboratively. Let your first class you shine through, because it's a mindset thing. It's not really a certificate thing per se. It's good for you to have the certification or the certificate that says you made a 2-1 or a first class or a distinction. But when you have a first class mindset, trust me, your work ethic, you have that personal, threshold, that minimum baseline way of working where everything you do, you have a first class signature. So my own subtle advocacy to you is, if you are in a department or a school where it's frustrating, it's fine. Do your bit. Ensure you don't make less than a 2-1. But when you are out, weaponize that 2-1. Get into hopefully a foreign university, a foreign school. Apply the same mindset. Make a distinction. And in your work life and everything else that you do afterwards, show the world that you are a first class person, irrespective of your school. That's what I would say to you. Yeah? Nice. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I'm going to allow, there's a lot of questions, a whole lot. There's a whole lot of questions. So I'm just going to allow one more person from the raise session to say what they want to say. Sorry again if I get your name wrongly. Eremiete Alabu. Eremiete Alabu. If you have a question, please, you can ask now. Just unmute yourself and shoot. Eremiete Alabu. All right. Okay, good. She's here.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. So, my question is, what techniques improve academic writing clarity and impact? And how can I um, integrate knowledge from diverse disciplines? So that's also now.
Okay, awesome. So if you see if you actually look at this triangle very well, right? So there are there are there are things I would like to just summarize once more, even though I've already touched them all through, right? Number one is, what is your goal? What is your goal, right? If your goal is to say you want to make a first class, if your goal is you want to make a distinction, if your goal is you want to be the very best in your faculty, your best overall, and all of those things, right? You need to ensure that you understand the system very well. So, like you rightly said, yeah, how do you weaponize? How do you integrate the wide learning opportunities out there and being able to, in a non-linear way, apply all of those things? If the system in your school is such that you have lecturers that are pedantic, meaning they are those who recycle notes. They're not in tune with what is going on right now with respect to generative AI, Web3, the innovations, and all of the things happening right now, where even you have people using ChatGPT to do all sorts of things. By all means possible, ensure that you stay on your lane to taking notes. Meaning, even if you're the kind of person who, like, you love to read widely, widely. You love to like you actually like breadth when it comes to your exams. Like I said, when you are, say, writing out your answers for a specific question, right? The first few responses you should give should be what the lecturer is familiar with. In that case, if it is their handouts, give them back their handouts. If it's their notes, give them back their notes. If it is a textbook that they have recommended, give them back the textbook that they have recommended. And then, if you have time, you can flesh up things by virtue of the breadth you have by reading textbooks or doing research articles elsewhere. But please don't replace. It's not a case of substitution. No, it's a case of complementarity. Let what you know elsewhere complement what they need you to give them back. When you are in Rome, you behave like Romans. When you are in Nigeria, behave like Nigerians. You should know that the breadth you have when you are out of school, when you have gone beyond those lecturers in terms of their exams and all of those things, that breadth in terms of the knowledge you have will shine through. But while you are still in school, please don't be arrogant. Understand the system very well. Ensure that you and the strategy you weaponize, you domesticate them to the system. That was the mistake I made in Yabatek. I came with the mindset of I was a reading white kind of person, bread kind of person, reading foreign textbooks and all of those things. And some of the things I was reading, chances were that my lecturers were not reading them. So it was like Greek to them. Like they say, it's very difficult to teach a very old dog new tricks. So, like when you're swimming with sharks, first things first is survival. When you have survived, then you can come out and be you, right? So it's fantastic. It's good to read very widely. But while you are doing that, note that in terms of the strategies you need for the people that will grade you, understand them. If the lecturer is one that reads widely like you, and you're very sure that the textbooks you are reading are in tandem with the textbooks that the lecturers love, then you are home and dry. If not, like I said, with respect to the principle of common denominator, whatever others are doing, please follow them to do all of those things first and then do yours. Yeah. Okay. Does that help? Does that help? Just checking with you. Does that help?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, nice. If you don't mind, I am mindful of time. I'm really mindful of time. I wouldn't want this to go beyond 2 full hours. So yeah, we have to be respectful with respect to people's time and the fact that yes, they have to be up for school and other things tomorrow. So what I would do is let's do something very 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 smart or astute. We will collate all of these questions, yeah, and then I will provide answers to all of them on Akadabu directly. Yeah, so we are going to tackle each and every one of these questions, and then we'll post some of the answers, not some, all of the answers there on Akadabu. If you've not registered yet, please do. So let me use this opportunity, this very very veritable one, to just talk through very very briefly. So if you don't mind, just give us another 10-12 minutes, we will round off. Yeah, so nice. If you don't mind, the other prizes you want to give out, so you could ask some of the questions using the chat group. I will ask mine as well, but let me just quickly do something. Let me just talk through Akadabu for a few minutes, and then we can come back to giving out some of the prizes to the winners, right? So Akadabu, like I often say, is one where we want to more or less engender impact. We want to engender impact. When I left Shell in 2021, one of the things I wanted to do was I said to myself, my mother didn't carry me for 11 months, and then all of the troubles I had to go through, for me to just have some sort of posh job and I was comfortable, just earning money and all of that, right? I always had this, this whole restlessness within me that there must be more, that my mother in her grave would be very unsettled. She would be very uncomfortable, and she would say to herself, "It couldn't just be me just having a shell job." Yeah, I mean, I was comfortable. I was an expert working abroad, working elsewhere, and all of those things. But I said to myself, "No, there must be more." So when I left, the first project I pursued was not a commercial project to give me money. No, I said to myself, I must give back. Right. So that was how Akadabu came on my radar. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to create a platform for very young, emerging leaders like you, similar to how you have a LinkedIn for professionals. It's just recently that I have begun to see students being comfortable to do a lot of things on LinkedIn. For a very long time, students were always ambivalent. They were always very reluctant to come in there because they felt, oh, it was for very, experienced professionals only. So I thought to myself, I said, why not create a safe space for students still in school, whether in SS2 or SS3, or those about to write UTME or post UTME, or in the university, in polytechnics, in colleges of education, to be free to interact and collaborate very freely and synergistically with other folks across schools in Nigeria. My focus has always been Africa, but like they say, charity begins at home. Let's start here first of all in Nigeria. So we created Akadabu. And the first thing we did was we asked ourselves, what would be the most important things that will be relevant to students? For a typical jambite about to enter a university or a polytechnic, we wanted to put in there a CGPA calculator. The CGPA calculator was supposed to help them understand that transition journey from, like I said, the mindset of a normal knockout stage, like a WAEC or a NECO, where you could be second, you could be 40th or 60th or what have you, from SS1 to SS2 and still be best in WAEC or NECO. We wanted to bring the CGPA to life, to say to you, this one is a league. And a league means if you are doing a 4-year program, you're going to be, having like 8 semesters. Every semester matters. Out of the 8, none is unimportant. All of them count. So we put in the CGPA calculator. And every time you hear me say, start with the end in mind, I'm saying to you, go to Akadabu, go simulate a wish list for yourself. Let us assume you are in 100 level or 200 level. Tell yourself, what sort of grades do you want to have in 200 level? What kind of grades do you want to have in 300 level? What kind of grades do you want to have in 400 level? Simulate all of those. Daydream about them. So Akadabu gives you that veritable opportunity for you to simulate your wish list. In fact, we even have a transcript. You simulate for all semesters in terms of the courses in your department. Get everything saved, print everything out, and then for every semester, say to yourself, in fact, print it out, put it in your room, place it strategically where you see it every day, and say to yourself, this is me, this is where I want to be by the end of the semester. That is a practical way to bring to life the end you have in mind. So every day it's you against that goal, and you say to yourself, for this particular course, right now, based on where I am going to score a C. I'm going to score a B. What do I need to do right now to ramp up to get myself to making an A? The CGPA calculator on Akadabu is there for you to weaponize. So if you are on this call, if you are in this session, you have not signed up yet to Akadabu, please do so, because the CGPA calculator that we have right there is one of the most powerful tools you need with respect to your journey, with respect to that triangular, magic I was talking about earlier. In there, again, for students, about to get into the university or a polytechnic or a college of education, we have done a summary of all schools in Nigeria. So if you have younger ones, you have mentors, sorry, you have mentees, you have people you know who are different points, they have that conundrum, that whole confusion as to what school to apply to. We have taken the pains to do a summary of all of every single school in the federation. So you know everything you need to know at a glance in such a way that even a chat GPT will not give you that sort of accuracy. We have taken the pains to do that for you. So even if you are in the university, even if you have graduated, please, if you have younger ones, tell them that when they are filling their UTME forms, right, they can come to Akadabu to know everything they need to know about every school they desire. The next one is we have free courses in there. In one of the subsequent sessions that we're actually going to be having, we'll be walking you through some of the things you can learn while in school, but those things should not be at the same level in terms of competition with your ambition to making a first class. No, 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 no. Those things should be below. Like I've said, nature is very jealous. If you plant seeds in your garden, you don't plant a cocoyam and see cassava. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. When you hear people say trust the process, what they're basically saying is whatever you want to get at the end of the day, you must come back to plant seeds, right? So in there we have the summaries of main courses that you need to acquire in terms of skill sets, in terms of upskilling and all of those things. But hey, those will only come after you are very, very comfortable with respect to the grade you want to make. Like I've said, it doesn't have to be a first class, it doesn't have to be a distinction. If it's worth doing at all, it's worth doing well. If not for anything, at least for bragging rights when you are old, when you are sitting at a table, a dining table with your grandkids and your kids and everything, and people are saying, oh, grandpa, grandma, when you were in the university, when you're in the polytechnic, what did you make? You will not hide below the table. As long as you find yourself in a school, please endeavor to do very well. If you're not there, it's a different thing. Doesn't matter whether you want to pursue creative stuff or entrepreneurship or you want to be self-employed. As long as you find yourself in that space, I beg you, I beg of you, please make the best of it. In there, we're saying as well, you can interact. Like I've said, it's a safe space for students. You can meet people from diverse schools and doing different courses. You can interact. Many of you are very active on places like a Tinder, a Badu, and all of those things. Like I often say, eventually you become the average of the people around you. It's a game of averages. If you want to be a better person, get to become friends with the people you desire to be like. Over time, you be like them. If you are in the university, you are roaming, you are like moving with people who like to do runs, like the runs ladies. Over time, you find yourself selling yourself cheaply to men. If you are if you are hanging around with people who do all sorts of things, who smoke and all of those things, the day will come, they'll say to you, just try it, just small stuff. Before you know it, you'll become a bigger addict like them all. So aside from when I said to you, academically, have the full range in terms of the good, the bad, the ugly, people doing very well academically, people doing like on the average, and then those doing very, very poorly, like carryovers. When it comes to making friends, I beg you, the things you don't want to be, whenever you see those things in a friend that you want to be very close to, run away. If you're like me, when I was in the university, I was like, when Buhari said, I am, I am, I am for everybody, and yet I am for nobody. I had so people used to call me the student prostitute. I was known by almost everybody. I was like, the guy living the hostel, be friends with everybody while going to the faculty and everything. But I didn't have a very close friend because I was moving at a pace where I felt people couldn't catch up. So I was my own best friend. Yeah. We have other things in there. We have mentors. So mentors that we have there are people at higher levels, people out of school. So if you are in 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, we have mentors who can help you all through. If you're already out of school, you can be a mentor and help those who are coming through again by giving back. If you are part of our ambassadors, like I often say, you are free to include that in your CV, free to include that in your resume, and we are happy to issue you a certificate as well to say you are part of our ambassadors. Because like I often say, employers look for people that are not only good academically, but they want to see those who have been doing things in terms of volunteering and much more, that show things like leadership and other attributes when they are out of school. In there as well, we have a marketplace where if you are a young, student about to enter school, or you're entering school, we have people who are already in those schools who are trying to sell a bed space or a mattress or something that you will need. If you are like me, who struggle through school financially, that may be a very good one for you. We have scholarships, links to scholarships. One of the things that helped me when I was in my first year and second year was I was applying to every scholarship there was out there. Eventually, like I showed you, I was on 4 scholarships, from the Shell one to the Chevron one to the NNPC one to the Unilag one. You should try to ensure that you are abreast with all information and links out there, so you can potentially have one of those scholarships, because those will be very helpful to you. On Akadabu, we have those. On Akadabu as well, we have many other things. We have a CBT, though it's not fully functional, but please, if you have younger ones who are about to write the next UTME exam early next year, by December, hopefully it will be up and running. Our CBT is not only free, we go beyond what other CBT platforms do. We not only tell you the answer, we give you very detailed explanations with respect to why a particular option is the answer, why others are not, and much more. In there as well, we have what we call raise. Because I struggled through school financially, I'm trying to bring in my networks and other organizations and myself as well to do what we call a raise day. So as time goes by, we'll be doing these raises periodically, could be quarterly, where we look for very promising students like you who are doing very well academically, but they just need help with respect to paying a school fee, paying accommodation, buying books, all of those things. We want to be out there to give back and touching lives positively. So let me leave it here. If you don't mind, the very next slide. If you've not registered yet, I beg you, go into Akadabu, because it's a safe space for all of you to collaborate, to network, to learn, to do a whole lot. It's my own way of fulfilling my destiny to say, I want to give back. I want to touch lives positively. I want to do more than just earning money. I want to be part of a universe of impact and value, so that when many of you come through the university process, polytechnic process, you will continue to give back and say, oh, Isaac inspired you, Akadabu inspired you. And then as we do that, we are exponentially spreading the virus of impact and altruism across the board, so that when I am dying in my deathbed and I look back with the benefit of hindsight, I will say to myself, Mom, rest in peace, but I'm just telling you right now, I am about to die. You did not make a mistake keeping me. I have made this life count. Next slide. Sorry. So this is, again, a summary of everything I have said. If you've not registered, I plead with you right now, please go in there to www.akadabu.com. We have a lot of things coming up. If you are not an ambassador yet, I beg of you, speak with Nice. She will bring you into the ambassador group. We will give you opportunities for you to develop certain skills with respect to volunteering, with respect to impact, with respect to leadership, with respect to collaboration, teamwork. For some of you, we have given opportunities for internship. We will continue to do that as well. And for a lot of you, we will give you certificates such that you can capture it in your resume, your CVs, when you are out of school, to say you've been part of this group, see the things that you have done, and much more. So I will leave it here. Thank you very much. Nice. Again, over to you. So let us just quickly take the winners, or better still, we can announce them as well on Akadabu. But let me ask the question I had in mind for 100,000, or for your fee for a session to be paid. So based on everything that you have heard, so in the stuff that we shared, in the actual banner that we shared, there was something that we actually captured in there, which I want to ask you on. So Nice, if you, okay, so maybe I can just pick it up from my side. So there was something that we actually captured in there to say, we said the unspoken code, revealed. So let us do this very quickly. You have 60 seconds. The first answer, the first person with the correct answer will be the winner, right? So based on everything you have heard, based on everything you have, like I've said and I've shared that you have heard, in a sentence, what do you think the unspoken code is for you to make in the first class? So it starts right about now. Nice, if you don't mind, I will extend it to like 120 seconds. So for 2 minutes, go to the charts, box, drop your answers in there. The first correct answer will be our winner. What? Because I have mentioned it like twice, on like very consciously, very deliberately, but I will ask you again. The unspoken code that we said we're actually going to reveal, what is that for you to making a first class or a distinction? So let's see who the winner will be. Quickly. So while we are doing that, I'll be reading. So Nice, if there's anything else you'd like to announce in terms of the winners, let us do so. Anything else, we will take to Akadabu directly. Nice, over to you.
Um, we've mentioned we've mentioned 3 awards so far. We have the best question. Okay, not the best question. We have best behaved. We've given award to early bird. We've given award to best comments, and each one of those persons have won the prize of 10,000 naira. The next award will go to the best question. I've gone through the comment box. I've heard people speak, and just to save time, there are just 2 persons that are eligible enough to win this award. So they have to, tie they have to share the money, the sum of 10K. The award goes to, sorry again if I mispronounce your name, Erie Meta and Difference Omenihu. So the both of you will have to, share. They say sharing is caring. So you have to share the prize of 10K for the best questions. It shows that the both of you have been listening and you've been participating actively, because if you're not participating, there's no way you have questions to ask. So congratulations to Area Meta and Difference. It's not just about asking these questions. As the answers have been given to you, you make sure you utilize them, implement them, so that these answers can actually produce results in your academics and in your life. Like someone mentioned in the comments, you don't read to pass, you read to know. So take note of that, as well as other tips that have been shared here. The fifth and the best award, I'm calling it the best because this is an event where you have to actively engage in order to actually understand. So this award is the best engage. You've been here for like, it should be up to or more than 2 hours, and you've just been quiet. You've not asked any questions. You've not dropped any comments. You're not even if you think you're listening, you're not actually participating. So I want to give this award of best engagement to someone who from the start has been participating. I've taken note of that person, and I'm sure most of us too must have noticed that person. The award goes to Kelvin Chinonso. Kelvin Chinonso. Yes, that's the person. Kelvin Chinonso. So the so Kelvin, you've won a sum of 10,000 naira. Don't worry, you don't have to share. So that's it for tonight, guys. The last award will be presented to us all by Mr. Isaac himself. So get ready, keep your comments coming and keep the vibes coming too.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it up to Isaac now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm just mindful of time, so we need to round this off. So I've gone through the charts. Yeah, I'm afraid I haven't seen any yet. Okay. Um, I have masked it and I've said it like twice already, but let me just come out very, very clearly. There's actually none. There's actually nothing special about making a first class. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just very simple things. Believing in yourself, having the ends in mind, developing the marathon muscles, doing the requisite things, understanding your school, the system, and then having some of the very best practical strategies to get in there. So somehow I whispered it like it's very easy, it's very simple, there's nothing special, but I've gone through the comments. No one actually mentioned that. So maybe what I would do is I will, for the sake of just ensuring that somebody gets this, we'll do something nice. Tomorrow we'll put up something on Akadabu, and then let's see if we're going to get a winner for this particular bit. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, so just to say
Yes.
to you, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your attentiveness. Thank you for your activeness and proactiveness and for your participation and all of that. It's been very fun having this with you. I actually hope to do this with you again. Yeah, so if you have the appetite for it, you want to have a second one, trust me, I'm actually available. I'll die to do this 1,000 times. I was whispering to someone, I think it was yesterday or on Friday. No, I think it was on Thursday or yesterday, that I feel too old for this kind of stuff because I do more of financial stuff right now, business stuff, entrepreneurship, leadership, all of those things. But there's a very special place in my heart, even though I left school many, many years ago, for academic stuff. I love academic stuff. So it's one area where I'm like a vampire. I never get old. I never actually get old. And that's why, like I mentioned to you, I'm actually writing that book. So if you don't mind as well, get through to NICE. For as many of you as practicable that are interested, you'll be the first to get, a copy of my book very early next year, free of charge. But most importantly, if you've not registered on Akadabu, please do so now. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Nines, on behalf of the entire team at the Antigravity Group, once again, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. It's been fun doing this with you. I look forward to the very next one. Have a beautiful evening. Have a wonderful, splendid, fabulous week ahead. Thank you very much and cheers. Bye.